Hey everyone, it's Owo Lelewa Mulani. I just want to say thank you for tuning in. This is part 2 of a segment that we have been doing around Transgender Day of Remembrance and Resilience, right? I'm here with the lovely Ermias Stone.
Hi, y'all.
And I just want to get into a little bit about yourself. Yeah,
Hi.
you wasn't expecting this.
Well, I'm from Seattle, Washington originally. I am second gen Ethiopian. My mother moved to the country when she was 11, and I don't know how many generations, but I'm also Puerto Rican. I'm one of the stateside Puerto Ricans, so we've been here for a minute.
Where you first joined?
No, because my bisabuela, great grandmother, was the last one from the island, and then we just been here since. So kind of like Rob's, my cousin Rob.
So how does that work? If
second gen.
But no, how does it work if the country that you currently reside in is the owner of your home country? So how does that work? Are you still first gen, or is it still a generation?
Well,
if you technically.
So Puerto Rico is a country. We're just not independent. I'll stay on that. You know, es un país, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, I would say because like if you go to Puerto Rico, a lot of the times they'll say Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, obviously we are American citizens and we are in America. But like in order to distinguish a Puerto Rican from an American from the US, they would be like a Boricua, you know, they'd be like, or a gringo. Well, technically, I'm a gringo because I'm from Los Estados Unidos, so I'm from the US.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, like I would be, so if like my mom, I think she's considered first gen, because like American, because she's the first one, or second.
You're first gen.
No, I think I'm second gen.
No, you're the first generation born here. She was not born here. She came here, so she's not first.
See,
gen.
when I Google it,
No,
because Google your friend.
Google is your friend. You are not first.
Let me look this up.
You are first gen Ethiopian American, because your mom was not born here. She's from the country, the home country.
That's what I was thinking. And then
so
Google
you're first gen Ethiopian American. Your mom is from the country. She came here when she was 20 or something like that.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Okay, it says like immigrant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means I'm first gen Ethiopian.
Yes, you are.
What? Third gen Puerto Rican.
Third gen Puerto Rican.
But yeah. So
American. Yeah.
I don't like that term, Puerto Rican American.
Oh, you don't?
I don't. I feel like the reason why
But that's your nationality.
I am American.
Yeah.
My nationality is American. I don't like the term Puerto Rican American.
So what'd you call it?
Because because of the type of Puerto Ricans that say that.
Oh.
But anyways, but yeah, a little about myself. I'm an activist when it comes to raising up Black voices, especially Afro-Latin, because my Puerto Rican side is Black. We've always been proud. My abuela was a proud Black Panther back in, LA.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a little bit about myself. Like I'm here, I'm a model here in Chicago. I'm a little creative on TikTok. One day I'll be as big. I don't know about an influencer, but a creative.
I think you do influence folks. I feel like you have met people who've been like seeing you and you living your truth, you live out loud. They're like, oh, like I can do this too. Like you have your friend back in Puerto Rico who I think no longer lives in Puerto Rico.
No, they don't. But shout out Johnny.
Right?
Hey, que guy.
You know, I feel like through you, they found the will to like try to do more, be in community, be active. Like y'all had y'all situations, but like through you, they have been able to grow through it or change their mind or like evolve through certain things. And I feel as though like you don't have to be a macro or like a super duper large platform to influence people. I influence people every day as somebody who don't really have a lot of followers, right? I meet people all the time who come to me and be like, you're the reason why I'm able to live my truth. Like seeing you live in your truth, seeing you live authentically and be yourself and show up in spaces. Like as a fat person, as a Black woman with trans experience, like I see it. As somebody who's not conventionally attractive, right? Being a Black woman, you're never going to be viewed as conventionally attractive. Like I am, yes, I acknowledge that I am pretty, but that's not
gorgeous.
Thank you so much. But that doesn't translate across cultures. or societal views, right? Especially in America. Like, you know, I'll go back to my home countries of ancestralness. I don't know, yeah, maybe like I am the beauty standard, maybe. You know, I probably would be, right? But living in a world where we are in a place of societal, like westernized viewing, and the way we think about it is societal in that way. Like, I'm not the beauty standard. They're thinking of some Scandinavian, blue-eyed, cheekbone down, very much Cirilla from The Witcher. That's what they're thinking of. That's the beauty standard, and she is the beauty standard. She's
sickening.
Not like I'm saying that she's the beauty standard, but like she is gorgeous,
sickening,
like undeniably stunning.
Fat white woman.
Fab. You know, there's not a lot of them, but fab. You know, so yeah, I just want to say that I want to go into a little more of your upbringing and how, because you're spiritual now, how have you moved away from more acceptable, widely accepted, you know, Americanized religions into something more ancestral?
All right, so
ATR.
I was raised by a single mother. She came to this country when she was 11 years old from Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. And so I was raised by my Ethiopian side. And if you know anything about Ethiopia, religion goes hand in hand with the government. And it's deeply embedded into the culture. And that's Ethiopian Orthodox. And so I grew up within the church and their traditions and the culture and whatnot. From a very young age, I didn't really feel like the church was for me. And, you know, for a lot of queer children, we're told we see the world for what it is, because a lot of times we know who we are, we just don't know how to express it because we weren't taught. And so I'm hearing people say, oh, love your neighbor, love this, or you shouldn't judge, but at the same time telling gay people they're going to hell, telling that, oh, you're sinning because this and that. I knew it wasn't for me, because the God I believe in ain't like that. And so I had to be able to show up for myself in spaces like that. I still went to church. I still did this and that. And there was a time where I really did try to put church above everything else and try to force myself to fit in. But then I started diving into my Latinidad, what it meant to be Afro-Latin, what it meant to be Puerto Rican specifically. And because I didn't know a lot, there wasn't a lot of representation for Afro-Puerto Ricans. To this day, people will be like, oh, you're Latin? Some people would just assume. But like some people were like, oh, like, or just assume that I'm biracial, that my Ethiopian side is black and my Puerto Rican side is like white or native looking or whatever, you know. And so diving into that, I was able to find my spirituality. When I lived in Puerto Rico in 2020, shout out Carolina, that's where my family's from. And I was living by myself. So I had to like really ask myself, like, what am I doing here? What I want from this? And it was actually the first time I went on a queer date. I went out in a queer club. And I was seeing people that look like me, and I was seeing people express themselves. And this is a time where I wasn't really expressing myself for who I was. And doing that and, you know, talking about spirituality, because I was meeting a lot of people who were into Santeria and had a calling. The Orishas were calling them in order to uplift themselves and be the better versions of themselves. And I had a calling for a minute. And I said, you know what? The God I know, he's in the Orthodox Church. And then I had to realize I already felt like it wasn't for me. And that's okay. I believe that the Most High speaks to us in, you know, in ways that we can hear them, in ways that we can understand. Sometimes that's Catholicism, sometimes that's Orthodox, sometimes that's Ifa, Hoodoo, Santeria, Voodoo, Wudan. You know what I mean? It's nothing to be demonized. It's something to be celebrated and respected. And through spirituality, through working with my ancestors, honoring my ancestors, I'm honoring myself, because I'm not going to allow the shackles of colonialism and Western ideas shackle me down and keep me small-minded. By expressing myself and understanding that there's love within and within community and beyond the realm of physical realm, I found what is it, solace, or just like
peace
and happiness, because I know it's beyond me and I know I'm here for a reason. And so growing up and learning that and discovering that about myself really allowed me to 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 empower myself. And being with someone who also practices spirituality is giving me the strength to continue it. And so like when we go home, I know I'm in a place where I can be at peace no matter what's going outside, because I make sure that we make sure that inside our space is safe, it's welcoming, it's comforting, and it's somewhere where we can express ourselves spiritually the way we need to. Because before, Western, and a lot of people, when it comes to Ethiopia, they think that, they use Ethiopia as, well, we're talking about like how Christianity spread through a lot of genocide. Let's talk about forcing the African slaves, converting them into Christianity, going pillaging the Native Americans, saying, if you don't worship our God, you're done. We weren't doing that before. And the real history of how Christianity spread to Ethiopia, because a lot of people don't know this, Ethiopia was pagan. They celebrate, they worship gods. A Greek or Lebanese, I can't remember which one, is the one that introduced Christianity to Emperor, I think it starts with an E. I forgot his name, but the religion of the country is based off the emperors. And so when the emperor converted to Christianity, the whole country converted to Christianity. And that's why it's so embedded. But I will say one thing that I think is beautiful about Ethiopia, it is a very spiritual place. And, even though the king was Christian, they allowed Muslim refugees to come into the country, seeking refuge from persecution back in the Middle East, and established the holy city of Harar, which in Ethiopia is considered the fourth holy city of Islam. And beautiful city, beautiful people. And I respect that. And, growing up, my mother also exposed me to different religions like Muslim. And I got to see how other people celebrate life and celebrate themselves, and how religion and belief systems have really transformed people. Because at the end of all of it, it's all about love. It's all about love and how to spread it.
In the name of Bell Hooks, all about love. Thank you. You have definitely had a journey rediscovering oneself, rediscovering one through systems of spirituality, through systems of religion, which religion systems have often been places of persecution, places of confinement. Right? Through spirituality and through other elements, how do you show up for yourself? How do you show yourself love and the care that you feel like you deserve? Like, how do you show up for yourself? Like, what does that look like for you these days?
Showing up for myself is forgiving myself, telling myself it's going to be okay no matter what, and going out, doing what I need to do, being who I am and remembering who I am, because we forget ourselves. And it wasn't too long ago where I forgot myself in a relationship. I allowed someone's emotions to govern mine. And I even stopped practicing my spirituality, Santeria. I allowed the love, my idea of love that I had for this person to control how I moved around. And so showing up for myself is reminding myself of who I am and being like, hey, you're better than this. You've survived so much type of abuse, physical, mental, all the above. You're still here. You're still breathing. That's because you're here for a reason. Don't you ever doubt it. And so for me, that can be expressing myself the way I dress. That can be how I talk. That can be how I do my hair. That can just be who the people I surround myself with. And so showing up for myself every day is waking up.
That's so real, because we know so many people and hear about so many people who's being plagued by like depression, who don't have access to mental health, and proper like health professionals, and mental health practitioners, who find it hard to get out of bed. Like,
it's hard.
We're in a society where we value productivity over self. in community. And so to hear that you are actively choosing every day to put yourself first, and that the way that you show up for yourself has not always been the way you show up for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have to sometimes redefine what that looks like for us.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we do go through periods where like we're not showing ourselves as much love. You know, we might be in situations where, you know, we might be feeling like, oh, like I love somebody, so like I'm gonna compromise, and then we end up compromising so much that we don't recognize ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when we leave those situations, we have to find our way back to ourselves.
Yeah.
And it looks different every time
It
because
does.
through those situations we change. I would like to hear about your healing process.
My healing process.
Yes. What does that look like? How do you heal?
How do I heal? So for me, when I'm going through something, I need to sit in it. Once I acknowledge what I'm going through, once I make, when I realize this is not what I want, and I can't take it no more. I have to sit down. You know, I'm a Taurus, Pisces moon. If y'all know, y'all know. And so if I'm gonna cry and I can't hold it in, I have to cry. I have to let it out. And to me, that's release. Release the trauma. Release the pain. Let it go. Release the love that you have for that person who isn't treating you the way you need it to be treated.
You deserve to be treated.
Exactly.
Because we all deserve to be loved in the way that we feel like love is, and how love shows up for us.
Are you nurturing my love language?
Are you?
Am I nurturing my love language?
Do you care to nurture my love language?
Mm-hmm.
Do you care to love me in a way that makes me feel good versus you feeling good?
Are you listening to me? Are you hearing me? Are you understanding me? Am I doing that for myself? And yeah, I mean, you just have to, you know, for me, like sitting in those emotions, letting it out, letting release. When I release, I'm not just dropping on the floor and it is what it is. I'm releasing that to the universe. Those emotions may not be harbored here anymore, but I let them out. Just like my love for that person will always be there, but don't come to me seeking for it.
Of course.
It's going out to the universe. And if you need something, if you want to be like, oh, you know what? I remember this, I remember that. Go pray. Go pray to who you believe in and seek that. For me, I gotta honor myself. My body's a temple. My mind is a palace. And so I need to walk into my space within and be like, how am I worshiping myself?
Because you are your first altar.
Exactly. You are your first altar. How am I supposed to do the spiritual work if I don't even believe in myself?
Our ancestors live within us. We are of their blood.
Exactly.
So we are indeed our first altars. So how are you showing up for yourself? How are you showing up for your ancestors? Are you taking care of yourself?
And
taking
nature.
care of yourselves is an act of offering to your ancestors. An act of love to your ancestors.
Exactly. Intentions. Make sure you're intentional with it too. And like nature also really helps me. And nature, I feel like people downplay it. Like it really does have so much, to do with how we move. Healing, nature's so healing. Just putting your bare feet on grass and just feeling the earth, the blades of grass. I love sitting by water and just watching the way, because water is a very healing energy. There's a reason why we say our roots come from a family tree. It's all connected. When we die, where do we go? Back to the ground.
We return to the earth.
Exactly. And so sitting in there and just reminding myself of what I went through, not staying in it though, not being like, oh my gosh, not giving myself pity.
Of course.
Giving myself grace. And saying that I've survived that, I can survive this too.
We live a reframe.
We do. And so like, and some of that is going to, the lake and looking at the city view, because I manifested living here in Chicago. I can manifest my success and my love here too. And I feel like I've accomplished so much, and I don't give myself grace in that. I've established community. I've made a sister that I don't know what I would do without. And I just I have a home where I feel safe and I can be who I am comfortably. I have someone who's I know at the end of the day, I can count on you.
At the end of the day got to end. And I'm there.
And so that's, and you know, showing up for yourself is who are you surrounding yourself with? That shows how much you love yourself. If you're surrounding yourself with people who don't love you, hey. And I used to do that. I used to pick the wrong ones, friendship wise, romantic wise, and you know, it does nothing but take. While you give. So healing for me is forgiving myself and giving myself grace and the patience. I'm not trying to rush my healing. Healing looks different for everybody. It's never linear. It's kind of like a roller coaster. It goes up and down, side to side. But it's going to get you to where you need to get to.
Always. We're all on our own journeys, and we're on our own paths. And I hear the way that you've been healing, that you're on this healing journey, and you're doing really well, and you feel good about it, right? What's next for you? What's on the horizon? What are you currently working on? And what can we expect to see in the future from you?
Well, I'm motivated to be a model. I'm currently modeling. I'll be in a fashion show soon in Gary, Indiana. Pressure on the Runway. Shout out Manoia, who is a designer I am walking for, a 14th Pharaoh Apparel. And to me, that's so healing because I've struggled with insecurities and how I look and if I'm good enough, because past relationships have told me there's always been a third party. I'm not good enough for this. I'll give all my emotion to someone and they just freely give it to somebody else while they just let me pick up the crumbs. And so being able to go out there, express myself, feel the love and feel the love I have within me, people being like, I want you to wear my creation. That is something not to be taken lightly.
A labor of love.
A labor of love. That's, you know, and that's someone put the work and love into that. I want to make sure that I am going out there and making your work shine as bright as it can. And and you are trying to make sure that I am also shining as bright as I can. And we see each other.
It's mutual.
It's mutual.
Mutual collaboration, mutual respect. Mutual benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You get to have your garment showcase it, and I get to be seen.
Exactly.
Right? That's wonderful. In closing, I would like you to leave the folks with a gem that you live by.
A gem that I live by. Let me see. There's so many things that I think about, but let me get real deep. Do you have a gem you live by?
I do. It's a gem that I heard from my assistant principal. I forgot her name. I'm so sorry. I remember everybody's name, but
Shut up.
but shout out to this lovely woman. She once told me something that she lived by that I started to live by, right? So your smile is your logo. Your personality is your trademark. And the way you leave people feeling about you after you leave is your gold.
That's beautiful.
So at the end of the day, I try to make sure how I feel is authentic to where I'm at. Because there's times where like I've been in situations that I acted certain ways that I'm like, okay, like that might have not been the best, but that's where I was at the time. So I give myself grace for that because I can't act no different than what I know at the time. But I can acknowledge that that could have been different. And me being in the space I am now, knowing more, learning more, healing more, I may have acted differently. But that's where I was at the time. And if it hurt somebody at that time, I'm sorry. I can take accountability for that.
Yeah.
But to know that that's not where I'm at anymore and give myself grace for that. So to make sure that every time I enter somebody's lives, I try my best to show up in a loving way. The way I try to receive people the way I want to be received. And sometimes I don't got it for them. And that's okay.
That's okay.
Because I can't give from an empty cup. I have to make sure I'm good. So sometimes I'm empty. Sometimes I'm running on low. I need time to.
You gotta make sure your cup is filled too.
I gotta make sure I have time to rejuvenate, replenish that cup, right? And so that's where I'm at. So I definitely live by that.
I love that. That's beautiful. I would say something I repeat all the time. It's a little more blunt. If y'all astrologers are listening, my Mercury's in Taurus, so. Mine is, you're going to be the only one in your casket. You're going to be the only one in your casket. You can't spend your life living for somebody else.
You sure can't. And you shouldn't.
No, I want to live my life to the fullest. So when I am being put back in that ground, the people who are there watching me get back to earth knows that I live my life to the fullest, that I've changed my life, I changed other people's life, I had an influence in this world. And that I stay true to myself from the very get-go, because I can lose myself for somebody, right? I can lose myself for somebody, I can forget who I am for them. And when I'm gone, are they in my casket with me?
No, they're not.
No, what did I do with my life?
What are you telling me?
Not a damn thing. So yeah, like at the end of the day, I remember, is this what I want to be remembered for? No. I want to make strides. You know, I want to be able to do things like this, help people, create a voice where where people say you didn't have one. I want people to come up to my tombstone and be like,
that's a great one.
That's a great one. That's a great one. And I'm going to honor you. I honored you then. I'm going to honor you now. I want to know that the next generation heard what I said and take it to heart and move accordingly. I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of losing myself for things that are undeserving. And I do not want that for the next generation. I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that for my friends. I don't want that for my family. Chosen or blood.
I know that's right. And on that note, I'm going to give it back to y'all. Okay? And I release y'all back into the universe. Thank you.